Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Bit Tactical, where today I'm going after, or I'm doing a after-action report in which I talk about a recent battle I had with the Kasrkin versus the Battleclade. Now, of course, this is going to be a little bit different than my other videos. I did record a whole 30-minute to 40-minute thing where I go through every step of the battle, or most steps of the battle. But to be honest, I kind of don't like doing those videos. I like battle reports where you can see the visual along with the narration, but after action reports, I do these because I don't have time within the game, especially if it's a pickup game, to actually do that. However, I do learn lessons during this, so instead of just going throughout the whole thing, I just want to get to those parts, the mistakes that I made, the things that I did well, and I guess just my thoughts and my feelings as I'm going towards the tournament. So this is a slightly different return from Whiteshield to Kasrkin. Instead of the whole thing, it is just going to be basically the talking guides part of those videos. Also, I didn't take many pictures. So, okay, listen. I got these two pictures. It was Into the Dark, as you can see, and I was against the Battleclade, and it was actually a very good match. One thing that I think I need to work on a lot is my time spent. This match probably started, I'm going to say that this match took probably 2.5 hours. That's what I'm trying to, that's what I think it happened. And also on a lot of that time, I do think I actually took probably the majority of the time. Both of us did take some time on certain moves, but I felt like there were like 3 or 4 big moments where I was just looking at the board, not being able to decide what it is I have to do. So I have to get better at doing that. I have to basically plan ahead or have like some moves that I know that I can do no matter what if I have to stall for time. So that my opponent can start going and the match can move along. But other than that, there's a few things that there's another mistake that I made. So this was a big mistake that I made. So on Into the Dark, for those of you who have not played it yet, you can go through the doors. However, opening a door is a mission action. Now, what's kind of cool is that as you move, you actually can open the door while you move. It's just going to cost an APL if you do so. So I actually had a really good opportunity to get a huge blast shooting with my grenade launcher. In fact, if you look at the picture here, this picture is actually that moment, right before it happened. So I was going to go through the door and just basically take a shot at somebody there, get within 2 inches, because I had that whole movement and a dash, so I could get within 2 of somebody, get a really nice blast shot, hopefully into a lot of people. However, my opponent used a strategy ploy or an equipment, I forget what it is exactly for the Battleclade, I don't know the rules, where he was able to do a full reposition with his leader, basically to block that door off. So if I opened it, I would have to charge him, and I couldn't do anything else, or just kill him, right? Which is a really smart move on his part because he saw what I was trying to do. So instead, I went over to a right room where he had 2 models close to each other. It wasn't as good of a blast shot, but it was still a relatively good blast shot. And I took it, and I injured one, and I got one down to a decent amount of health. I think like 6 health out of 10 or 11, which I actually felt pretty fine with. And then he would just have to react to that, right? However, what I did in order to do that is did a move, a dash through a door, and then I take the shot, which is obviously 4 APL. I had given him the 3rd APL, but not the 4th APL. Luckily, though, I didn't catch it. I didn't intend to like cheat or anything here. I genuinely didn't catch that I did that. So my opponent, then he went, and he only went 1 activation, and I think it was just to get onto guard. But then he's like, oh, well, wait a second. I don't think you actually could have made this shot at all. And we had to reverse, basically. I mean, I gave him the option, and he was very graceful about it. Shout out to my opponent on that. So that was just a big mistake. That was a big, I don't know if I've ever done that, where I just took a whole extra APL action that I definitely didn't have the right to do. But that is a mistake that I made on my part. Again, very thankful for my opponent for being graceful about that and returning it. And we just reversed a little bit so that I was back to my activation, and he didn't do that one card. I think if the match had moved along more before we noticed it, we probably wouldn't have done that. And then I would have offered to, like, I don't know, decrease the CP or some sort of or negative thing for making that sort of mess up. I actually don't know what to do with that sort of mess up. I would just ask my opponent, be like, hey, what do you want to do here? It's whatever you want to do, because it's just such a dumb mistake to make. I don't know why I did that. However, on to a few things here. Number one, another thing, and it's just something I have to keep remembering. Relics of Kadia, it's a good use. That's what I did bring that here. And I should just keep using it. Like, it's just good. It basically, especially since you're hitting on threes, kind of almost guarantees that on that shooting attack, you're going to have 3 hits. I think if I had used it a little bit more, I probably would have gotten 1 or 2 more kills. But I haven't played Kasrkin in like 2 weeks because I've been using the other team for the guide. But I'm going to be using Kasrkin pretty regularly now. In fact, I have a game tomorrow that's going to be with the Kasrkin again. And then my next pickup game is also going to be in Kasrkin, which is probably going to be sometime next week. But yeah, the shooting, obviously, with the Kasrkin is really good. Having the ability to kind of go on the defensive. And also, I was playing around with my skill alarms a little bit more. There was actually a point in which, with my Sergeant, I actually gave my grenade launcher damage negation, so that one dice just has -1, just because I could, because it's 0 AP. It actually worked out in my favor. My opponent then had to waste, I think, 2 more shooting attacks in order to kill him. Not only that, the medic not having to use any APL for the health actually made it so that I was able to move over, heal him, and then move back. Funnily enough, I actually think this is where I made another mistake. My grenade launcher was 100% within 3 inches of my medic when he died. So I should have revived him, but I didn't. I could have chosen not to, but I think in this case, I would have chosen to revive him. But also, this is something just with the Battleclade, because I do have them. I'm going to build them, and I'm going to use them. What he was doing with him was actually really, really cool. So what my opponent was doing was he had his medic next to his gunner that he was using, right? And his gunner was getting up and going on guard and all that stuff, which is cool. But the one thing that he was doing was, with somebody else, he would go, and then when I would shoot his gunner and I didn't kill him, he would network counteract with the medic, heal him up, right? I would then shoot again with somebody else, and then he would actually activate the medic and heal him up again. So he was getting a double heal, which was so annoying until finally I did kill him with Melta. Now, what did the actual outcome of this match end up being? Well, luckily for me, I have had a slight change. It's something that I do sometimes, but I'm going to try to be more conscious of actually doing, which I know it sounds funny, but it's actually just going for the objective more than I do now. Funnily enough, I think my opponent actually did what I usually do, which I get too invested in the idea of killing my opponent and getting models off the board. I do that a lot, especially near turning point 3 and 4. My opponent actually started doing that and was taking kills when he probably should have been scoring for his crit op, which was also his primary op, which he absolutely could have done. But again, he was getting a little kill hungry. I was getting, and I wasn't. That was the thing. Not only because I couldn't, that was the thing. I couldn't be kill hungry. That's why I probably wasn't doing that. Like, I, at one point, could have shot somebody and potentially gotten a kill, or not, right? Or scored a point. But because I wasn't, like, he was right next to the medic, so even if I got the kill, the medic would have revived him. Because of that, I instead went for the crit op, which I think actually is what ended up with me winning this match, which is the first time that I won in this series against the Battleclade by 1 point. It was by 1 point that I won. Okay, what did I say? I think I literally said this last Whiteshield to Kasrkin. Okay, it's Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel already said it. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or by a mile. Okay, winning is winning. And I won by that 1 point. And now I feel like it's starting to cement in my mind, okay, if I want to do well, if I want to go into a tournament with Kasrkin and actually do something that's not just kind of being funny, I should probably focus on objectives a little bit. Do the crit op. Do my tac op. Now, the unfortunate part of Kasrkin is that the tac ops aren't too great. I went with contain on this one, but that's because I knew the Battleclade only had a 5-inch move for a majority of their operatives, and that they couldn't move with that network counteract. So, because of that, I was like, okay, I'll probably have a decent chance to actually get that, and it actually worked out exactly how I did it, how I thought it would. If you see in the center, in this picture, I have all my operatives here in the center. This was actually a really good defensive angle here, because I was able to either move my sergeant over and shoot whoever was in the center and kill them, or have my Melton on the left side completely clear that room, and then also move him up and shoot with him if I needed to, in order to make sure I was containing. And my opponent on the right side, he was just scoring that crit up, which made sense for him, but it allowed me to get that tac op, which was really nice. I only scored 5 because at the end he was able to keep one alive on my side, but still without 6 inches, so I got 5. So I didn't max it out, but it got pretty close. But I think it's only because I was going up against a team that I knew didn't have the movement to get to me very effectively. Also, because they have that network counteract, they don't have any access to that extra APL. And even with the network counteract, again, they can't move. So they can't do the thing that some 2 APL teams like Kasrkin do, where they'll do that move, the dash, and then they'll shoot, because you can hand out APL. Since they can't do that, their movement is actually super restricted. Even with Plague Marines, they still have a move and a dash, and then they can shoot. So it is restricted still, but not too restrictive. But with the Battleclade, it's actually really restrictive. They're dedicated to 2 APL. The only thing they have to do is like the move and dash, and then hope your opponent doesn't try to take advantage so that you can shoot on a network counteract, which is, again, a dangerous gamble to take. But yeah, I did win the game. Shooting didn't go as well as I thought it would. There were a lot of things that were happening that I was like, oh man. And I did use a clearance sweep because we were basically fighting on the center objective. So that 5-inch move or that 5-inch clearance sweep was actually really effective. I was basically shooting from the door and getting it in a lot of my shooting attacks. I really liked it. However, CP is just so useful. And with Kasrkin, if you don't have access to, that piercing 1 or piercing crits 1, but with light him up, it comes together to make severe. So basically, you have piercing 1 on your hotshot las. Your team really does struggle. So I was running that every single turning point 2 onwards, and again, that's 3 CP right there. Even with losing initiative, it was pretty rough. And I used Seize the Initiative, the first turning point, because I really wanted to get that grenade launcher blast going. But of course, my opponent blocked it because he saw it coming and was able to basically negate the fact that I used it. Because I used it, and I didn't have to use it because I just rolled I naturally rolled higher. So, unfortunate. But it's. I'm thinking more about CP management, especially with the Kasrkin. I feel like I should always set up in a way so that turning point 2, it does not matter if I have initiative or not. It does not matter. That's how I feel like it should be, so that I have that extra CP, so that I can use it more effectively in turning point 2 and turning point 3 and then turning point 4. So yes, a very narrow victory for the Kasrkin by 1 point. But again, I feel like if I didn't get that 1 point on the crit off, I probably wouldn't have won. I probably would have lost that game. Or maybe not. Maybe something else would have happened. Getting that kill would have been confirmed. I don't know. If his medic wasn't there, I would have gone for the shot. I think I know that. But I think I need to start thinking in my mind that, hey, crit op isn't just there for memes, okay? I'm probably still going to make the kill op my primary op and killing what I do with the Kasrkin. However, can't rely on shooting too much. I don't know why. It's not just with this match, but with a lot of matches recently. Teams that save on 4s and 5s. Maybe it's just all my opponents are getting lucky, but I'm not doing as much damage as I would like to against these teams. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a time where, in the future, against a team that has 4s and 5s as their saves, I'm probably going to wipe them. Probably. I mean, I did it with teams that save on 3s, but just recently it's not been happening for me. So I feel like that's actually good for me because it's teaching me to, hey, let's stay back, let's focus on the crit up, let's focus on the attack up, and then we can go from there, as opposed to, just trying to kill models, because I love killing people. Alright guys, that's it for this video. It's a bit shorter than usual, okay? With that being said, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and comment something. There is going to be a battle report coming up this week, which I'm excited about. But other than that, I will see you guys later.